channel. Today I wanted to take a break from very intense videos and talk about something that I'm super passionate about in addition to mystery and horror and all that stuff, and that is movies and television. I love watching movies that are suspenseful and have shock value, and today I'm just gonna talk about my top 5 movies and TV shows that are suspenseful, and I'm sure many of you might agree or disagree, but at the end feel free to leave all your comments down below and let me know. Let's start a discussion. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Do you like them? Why not? I'd love to hear from all of you guys. So I've got my handy dandy little what are these called? Index cards, and I've made a note of my top 5. So I'm gonna start with TV shows because that's a very big part of my life is TV shows, and I love it. So number 1 on my list is a newer show that's become really popular on Netflix called Black Mirror, and it's an anthology show about technology, and it was marketed to me as Twilight Zone-esque, but with a focus on technology instead of things that have happened in the past, because it is a newer show. I love it because that being said, let's get into the next one, which is Twilight Zone. Obviously, I remember watching that with my dad and just having it be on the TV when we had our little box television with only 8 channels. It was always on in black and white, and it just has a strong sense of nostalgia. And like I said, I liked it because it gave me a way to think about stuff and kind of self-reflect as well as be entertained. The next show I want to talk about is a BBC show that has become really popular over here in the States, Sherlock. I had it recommended to me by a friend, and I knew nothing about it before I started getting into it. And unfortunately, they only make 4 episodes, an hour long, every 4 years, it seems like. But I guess, like everyone else who watches it, I'm just a super glutton for punishment, and I love, I'm still sucked into it, even though it takes forever to see the next storyline, see the next plotline, and it always ends on a cliffhanger, which is how they get you. It's super unfortunate. And it doesn't hurt that Benedict Cumberbatch is nice to look at. Number 4 on my list of 5 favorite TV shows is Criminal Minds. I fell in love by accident when I was in high school because one of my favorite actors was in an episode, and that just sent me down the rabbit hole. It sparked my interest in forensic science, behavioral analysis, psychology, all of that super fun stuff. And here we are, 14 seasons later. I'm still just as into it, and if you like learning about more psychological aspect of murders as opposed to just blood and gore for the shock value, I highly recommend that show. It's amazing. And the last show on my list is kind of more along the lines of more, I guess, sci-fi fantasy, but it also gets super suspenseful, and that's Stranger Things. I got into it around the time it came out on Netflix, and the kid actors just kind of tugged on my heartstrings. They are amazing kids, and the plotline of the show is unlike anything I had ever really seen. I'm not very familiar with demigorgons and if they are even real mythical creatures. I don't even know. And the whole, like, I guess, premise of experimenting on children very much kind of entraps me, gets me going, gets me involved into it, and I just fell in love and I can't wait for season 3. Alright, so now I'm going to move on and talk about more movies that have had an impact on me and kind of had an impact on me and kickstarted my love of, like, weird, spooky, suspenseful, super fun stuff. Alright, so the first one I want to talk about is the reason why I am absolutely god-awful terrified of birds, and that's The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. My dad showed that movie to me when I was very young. He was a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, and he still is too. But that movie just stuck with me. It made a huge impact in my psyche, and I don't like tiny birds. Like, I just feel like they're gonna peck your eye out. I could not explain to you why. But watching it now when I'm older, I do think it is a wonderfully cinematically made movie. I can't speak, English is hard. And I do appreciate it for the impact it has had on a lot of people and for just movies in general as time has gone on. My second favorite, and one that I was not as terrified as I thought I was gonna be, I watched it later in life, and that's Silence of the Lambs. The story of Hannibal Lecter, and it was so fascinating because it, to me, delved more into, like, the psychology of Hannibal Lecter and why he is the way he is, and there's so many iconic lines that Anthony Hopkins is just amazing in that movie, and it's definitely become one of my favorites to watch whenever I can. It's been a day. My next favorite one is one I also watched when I was little that kind of had a huge impact on my psyche. Artificial Intelligence, AI. It's a movie with Haley Joel Osment, and he portrays a little robot boy who gets adopted by a human family, and then this human family realizes, oh shit, he can cause serious damage to other people, including their actual human son, so they get rid of him. And it's just about his journey and stuff like that, and I love going back to, like, what if that could actually happen? What if we could actually, you know, make humanoid creatures that could be developed into our everyday lives? And it's both terrifying and intriguing and a lot of fun to think about, but I don't like to think about it that much or I'll just get existential, and it's not a good time for anybody. And, the last movie I wanted to talk about is a newer movie that came out, I know it came out in the last 5 years, maybe 2 years ago, and that's A Quiet Place. It was so, like, I had, like, a death grip on the movie theater chair, because it was so suspenseful and so great. I also liked seeing how they incorporated sign language, and because that's a huge part of my life. I know a lot of people who know it and have taught me it. And it was also very interesting to think about how this could relate to, like, fear of the unknown and the frightening things that we can't see, we can't hear, we can't whatever. It's just, the unknown is probably the scariest thing in the world, and sometimes it's just something we can't face. And that movie got me thinking a lot about that. So it was interesting to see, and I really liked it. And that concludes my list of 10 things. And that concludes my list of 10 movies and shows that I have enjoyed, that are suspenseful, maybe a little horror, you know, fantasy, sci-fi, awesomeness. And now I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what's your favorites. Give me recommendations if there's something that you love that I haven't watched. I'm in the middle of like Westworld, a bunch of other shows too, so yeah, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.